Anger is powerful. It's an emotion that can take hold of us, often unexpectedly, and drive us to act in ways we never thought possible. It surges through us, demanding attention like the waves crashing against the shore, relentless and unyielding. We might see anger as negative, something to suppress, a feeling to be ashamed of. But anger can be a force for good. It can be the spark that ignites change, the fire that fuels our determination. It signals unmet needs, injustice, or boundaries crossed. It's a call to action, a demand for attention. Think of anger as a warning light on your dashboard. It's an indicator that something needs to be addressed. It's telling you something is wrong, something that requires your attention and action. Ignoring it won't solve the problem. In fact, it might make things worse. Instead of fearing anger, we can learn to harness its energy. We can channel it into something productive. When we understand our anger, we can use it constructively. We can turn it into a force for good. It can fuel positive change, both within ourselves and in the world. It can drive us to build, to create, to improve. It can motivate us to address injustice, fight for our values, and create a better future. Anger, when understood and channeled, can truly be a force for good. Often our anger stems from our interpretations of events, not the events themselves. Two people can experience the same situation yet react very differently. This is because our thoughts shape our feelings. Imagine this: you're stuck in traffic. Your first thought might be, "This is awful, I'm going to be so late." This thought triggers anger and frustration. But what if you shifted your perspective? You could think, "This is a chance to listen to my favorite podcast," or "I'm grateful I'm not the one who caused an accident." This is where compassionate reframing comes in. It's about consciously choosing a more helpful interpretation of a situation. We acknowledge our anger, but we don't let it control us. Instead, we look for the good, even in challenging moments. Compassionate reframing involves asking ourselves, what am I assuming about this situation? Is there another way to see this? What would happen if I responded with kindness instead of anger? By practicing compassionate reframing, we can transform anger from a destructive force into a source of strength and wisdom. Section 4. Turning fury into fuel. In this section, we will explore how to transform negative emotions into positive actions. Let's look at an example. Imagine you're working on a project and a colleague takes credit for your work. Your initial reaction might be anger and resentment. You might feel a surge of frustration and a sense of injustice. This is a natural response. Anger is a powerful emotion that can cloud your judgment and lead to impulsive actions. You might feel like lashing out or withdrawing completely. Both reactions are understandable but not always helpful. Now let's apply compassionate reframing. This technique helps you shift your perspective and find a more constructive way to respond. Instead of focusing on the unfairness, ask yourself, what need of mine is not being met? This introspection can be enlightening. Perhaps it's the need for recognition or respect. Identifying this need can help you address the root of your frustration. Next, consider the other person's perspective. Try to understand why they might have acted the way they did. Maybe they're insecure or under pressure. Recognizing their possible motivations can reduce your anger. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you understand their motivations. Empathy can be a powerful tool in conflict resolution. Finally, choose a constructive response. Think about how you can address the situation in a way that is both assertive and respectful. You could calmly address the situation with your colleague, explaining how their actions made you feel. This can open up a dialogue and lead to a resolution. Or you could focus on documenting your contributions more clearly in the future. This proactive approach can prevent similar issues from arising. Section 5. Reaping the rewards. Compassionate reframing takes practice, but the rewards are significant. It's a journey that requires patience and dedication, but the benefits are well worth the effort. When we learn to reframe anger, we experience greater emotional well-being. This shift in perspective allows us to see situations more clearly and respond more thoughtfully. We're less reactive and more resilient in the face of challenges. Our relationships also improve. We find ourselves more connected to others, fostering deeper and more meaningful interactions. We communicate more effectively, resolve conflicts peacefully, and build stronger connections. This enhanced communication leads to a more harmonious and supportive environment. Instead of fueling anger, we cultivate compassion, both for ourselves and others. This compassion becomes a guiding force in our lives, helping us navigate through difficult times with grace. Remember, anger itself is not the enemy. It's a natural emotion that can be harnessed for positive change. It's how we choose to respond to it that makes all the difference. By making mindful choices, we can transform our emotional landscape. By harnessing the power of compassionate reframing, we can transform anger from a destructive force into fuel for a more positive and fulfilling life. This transformation empowers us to live more authentically and joyfully,